Welcome into our post-game coverage of the Clemson 17-12 win over Wake Forest, homecoming day here at Death Valley, Clemson. Our sports talk at the stadium recap brought to you by the South Carolina Beef Council. Remember last year in Winston-Salem, these two teams rolled it up offensively, back and forth, up and down the field, scored a ton of points. Completely opposite today. The defenses carried the day, and if it weren't for the defense, the Tigers would be walking out of here with a loss because the defense had to come up big several times inside the 10-yard line to keep Wake Forest out of the end zone. And that was important because the Clemson offense just was not producing many points today as they had their struggles against a very good Wake Forest team. This was a physical, bruising kind of football game, not exactly what you expect when Clemson and Wake Forest gets together. But the Demon Deacons brought the defense, as the Tigers did as well. Few notes on the game. Clemson wins at 17-12. That's 15 straight over Wake Forest. Tigers now lead the series 71-17 and 1. And for Dabo Swinney, that's 165 career wins at Clemson. And that ties him with Frank Howard as the Tigers' all-time winningest coach. Clemson is 4-2 on the year, 2-2 in the ACC. They're off next week, and then they'll play at Miami. Quick recap on the action. Wake Forest, this kind of gave us an indication of the kind of day it was going to be. Demon Deacons recovered a fumble early at the Clemson 9 after Klubnik and Shipley couldn't get together on a handoff, but the Tiger defense stopped them on downs, 0-0. Wake Forest later took a punch and returned it to the Clemson 45. They drove to the 9. Again, the defense came up with a big play, Orororo with a sack. That led to a 35-yard field goal, 3-0 Wake Forest. Clemson, 75 yards, 16 plays. Klubnik, a 7-yard touchdown run. He was 8 for 9 on the drive, passing, including a 10-yarder to Bo Collins to the Wake Forest 20 on a 4th and 5. Beautiful throw, beautiful catch. Clemson scores. They go up 7-3. Later in the first half, Tyler Brown fumbled a punt. Wake Forest recovers at the Clemson 31. Tiger defense once again comes up big, forces a 39-yard field goal. Last play of the half, it is missed by a very reliable kicker. That was his first miss of the season from inside 39 yards. And Tigers lead 7-3 at the half. In the second half, Clemson took the kickoff, 15-play drive. They go right down the field. They came out with a very physical mindset, came out with the idea of giving the ball to Shipley, letting him run behind their big lineman, and it worked. A couple of big runs by Shipley. The drive reached the 2. Then there was a snap infraction on the Tigers, so that backed them up. They had to settle for a 25-yard field goal by Whites, and so the Tigers lead it now 10-3. So they drove it, but they couldn't knock it in the end zone. Wake Forest then came back with their long drive of the third quarter. They reached the Clemson 4, and they were stopped, and they had to kick a field goal to make it 10-6. On the play, there was a very controversial roughing the passer call on Jeremiah Trotter Jr. that set the crowd off, and Dabo Swinney was very, very angry on the sideline. That was on a 3rd and 14, so you think your defense is coming off the field. It doesn't, but they did keep him out of the end zone, and it's 10-6 Clemson. Tigers put a drive together, reached the Wake Forest 34, but Whites missed a 51-yard field goal. So the Tigers' kicking woes really continue on the season. 5:49 left, however. This is the big drive of the game. Shipley runs in from the 1. He had 33 yards on the drive, including runs of 18 and 12 yards. And also a 15-yard pass to Brown on 3rd and 5 was big and kept the drive moving. And Tigers go up 17-6. Things are looking pretty good. It's late in the ballgame. However, Wake Forest put a drive together, helped by a couple of penalties on Clemson, one for pass interference and the other for a face mask. And Claiborne then runs it in from the 3. 2-point conversion is no good. It's 17-12. Onside, kind of surprised they went with the onside kick. They had 3 timeouts to go for the onside kick. Clemson, Hampton Green Jr. recovers at the Wake Forest 40. Moffa breaks off a couple of runs. Wake Forest has to use the timeouts, and the Tigers are able to run out the clock there at the end to win it 17-12. Offensive numbers both ways, not impressive. 338 for yards for Clemson, 239 for Wake Forest. Tigers were pretty good on third down, 6 of 15. Wake Forest was not, 2 for 12. Clemson 2 for 2 on fourth down. So the Tigers 8 of 17 in conversion situations. Defensively, the Tigers had 4 sacks, 8 tackles for loss. Toriano Pride played very well in place of Sheridan Jones today. He had 7 tackles and 3 passes broken up. Wade Woodaz had a couple of sacks. Offensively, Klubnik was 18 of 28 for 131. Shipley, 19 carries for 97 yards and that touchdown. Bo Collins had 5 catches for 50 yards. Brenning Stuhl had 5 catches for 30 yards. So there you go, the numbers and recap on the scoring of the game. So Clemson comes away with the win, and a lot of things to think about from this performance. Drop passes on offense, penalties on defense, the offensive line having some trouble at time protecting Klubnik, who had to break free for runs, but thanks to his overall athletic ability and his speed, he was able to take advantage of gaping holes in the Wake Forest defense in the secondary and pick up some yards that way. Defensively, though, the Tigers have to be very proud of the fact that they bowed their neck when they had to keep Wake Forest out of the game, out of the end zone until that last drive late in the fourth quarter. Up until then, Wake Forest had about 10 snaps inside the red zone without scoring a touchdown. So, and of course, the missed field goal, though it was a 51-yarder. That's something that here at Clemson, with the kickers they've had, they kind of expect those to go down. So that still has to be a concern as well. But they get the win on homecoming. They keep the streak going against Wake Forest. And now they get a couple of weeks to get ready to go down and play what appears to be a pretty good Miami team down in Florida, and a chance to gain a prominent victory if they can pull that off in a couple of weeks. That'll do it from here at Death Valley. Again, the Tigers win at 17-12. Thanks for checking us out here. Sports Talk at the Stadium, brought to you by the South Carolina Beef Council.